I'm a replacement speaker, so I don't have to do a good job. I'll just fill in. So in the last few minutes, I jot down a few things. So it's a rambling speech. This is my favorite group, birthplace of pediatric ophthalmology. It's a wonderful group, very special for me. I made a few notes. This is the most favorite group of mine. And I come from a little town called Decatur. Some people call it Decatur, but it's at Decatur, Illinois. Little town of about 6,000 people. It's still shrinking. It used to be 100,000 about 10 years ago. So I live in a different environment than most of you do. It's much different than most towns that I know of. I arrived in Decatur in 1979 after fellowship here. And Jim Richard shook his head. He said, agree. So after Washington, I went to a little town. I began to practice pediatric ophthalmology, thinking that I can cover almost whole state south of Chicago, a little north of St. Louis. I was the only one at that time, so I thought I could do that. But it didn't pan out that way. As I kept studying the town, it's a unique town. It's a town with history of Underground Railroad, industrial period, and Rust Belt. All that is in Decatur. It's not Champaign. I'm about an hour west of Champaign, another hour east of Springfield. So Springfield and Champaign are different towns. Decatur is Rust Belt. It's got history that's unique. What I'm trying to tell you is we have very large population of blind people, more than average town. And I kept thinking, what happened there? Well, we have genetic pool. You know, as you know, about 10 years ago, no, more than 10. I was a fellow at the time at Iowa. They discovered the genetic, I don't know much about chromosome, but they did identify genetic reason why glaucoma takes place. So we have a big pool of glaucoma gene. So with that, I now kind of figured out what really is going on in, I call it Decatur, Illinois. So I thought we gotta do something about it. And that something was, I decided to go back to school. And in Iowa City, I did a glaucoma fellowship because glaucoma is more of a problem in Decatur than pediatric, actually. So in 1995, I was age 57. When I applied for glaucoma fellowship, they were just not sure. They thought I would probably die before I finished. But here I am, I'm still practicing. I practice 2 days a week because I'm getting to the point that I got other things to do. And this is one of the other things that I began to do. So I'll just skip the whole thing. You probably are ahead of time, so you may be able to carry on this talk. But it's a very interesting story that we have history of Underground Railroad, and we have a history of Rust Belt, and local community. We all have different issues. And Sherwin understands that Sub-Sahara is a different area, and they got a huge problem. I was thinking, and I didn't say, but I'm thinking that prenatal care has something to do with it. You know, some areas, affluent places, don't have as much of ROP. And big cities often do. For instance, a place like Iowa City, we don't have as many ROPs. And why is it? Because I think prenatal care is better and nutrition is better. It's a huge socioeconomic problem. And so I decided I'll just try to solve a small problem, which is my town. So I got a few things to talk about, so let's move on with a video clip. We have a little video clip. Our local news media has been very supportive. So it's nice to have a fellow who can help out. So if you go to the video clip, this is a local NBC station who produced. Thank you.
The Sight Foundation began the Blindness Prevention Project in 2014. Our mission began to screen and educate the general public in order to determine those who will become blind from glaucoma. We continue to give and conduct eye pressure screenings at no charge. In December 2014, during a conversation with Dr. John Lee, his friend recalled having seen a model of the human heart in the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. This recollection resulted in a great idea, an eye display model for children. First came the design of the eye model. The original design took about 2 hours to create. Dr. Lee's previous occupation was that of a mechanical design engineer. He pulled out an old drafting set and began creating his vision. Great pains were taken to get every detail for the eye model as close to anatomical accuracy as possible. It became a great community project. Materials for building had to meet a number of significant criteria, but most importantly, they needed to be sturdy enough for human interaction, yet light enough for a manageable transition to the final museum installation. Richland Community College availed its space and welding class to help create the steel foundational skeleton for the eye model. Many students were involved in helping form the basic round shape of the eye model, which was created from steel material donated by heating and air conditioning company, King Long. The basic frame was carefully welded together and covered with wire mesh. It was time to move to the next phase of the construction. The Fisherman's Quarters Marine graciously provided the base, adding approximately 4,000 styrofoam squares to the model. The 2-inch styrofoam squares were lightweight and worked well to provide the foundation for a series of fiberglass layers. It took approximately 6 months to install the styrofoam squares. Each square was carefully placed by the skilled hands of John Hearn, an instructor at Richland Community College and fiberglass expert. The next layer consisted of applying fiberglass fabric and resin over the fabric. 4 layers of fiberglass were installed over the styrofoam squares. This fiberglass laying took 3 months and involved the talents of John Hearn. Holes were left for the installation of interactive ports for final display. Surfacing the model consisted of applying a 2-part polyester resin. After curing, it was carefully sanded by hand to give a smooth surface. Once a smooth surface was established, the model had to be primed and painted. The base paint coat was white on the exterior surface and a darker flesh tone for the surface. It was decided that these colors would best approximate the natural coloring of the human eye. In order to represent the basic blood vessels of the eye, we needed to find the proper aspect ratio for the sizing of the brush width. Since the average size of a human eyeball is 1 inch in diameter, the blood vessels needed to be proportioned for the 7-foot diameter eye model. The next challenge was to move the eye model to its final destination, Children's Museum of Illinois. The model was carefully lifted onto an open trailer on the non-rainy day.
I need to
Safe down for transport.
I don't hear a thing.
5 people were needed to safely move the eye model into the museum. A series of block and tackles were added to the scissor lift used to hoist the model to its permanent second-floor display position. Once the eye model was in its proper position, it was time to do the finishing work. 3 lights and 4 switches were installed in the appropriate positions. signage was added to clarify the display and interactive areas. The elaborate iris, or colored part of the eye, was created by enlarging a high-resolution photograph mounted on a polymer board. The coloring in the iris is quite realistic. The cornea, or clear front surface of the eye, and the lens located inside the eye were manufactured by Brett Bartlett in Sacramento, California. He custom formed these pieces from clear acrylic sky domes to the design specifications that are anatomically correct with the human eye. The kiosk sign next to the eye model serves to introduce the viewers to the importance of eye health, therefore vision health, and draws them inside. On Monday, June 24th, 2019, the eye model was officially opened and christened with a ribbon-cutting ceremony. Many community members, dignitaries, and important eye model construction people attended the lively event. Over 95 newspapers, radio stations, and television stations across the United States, Canada, and even Malaysia covered the important event.
Okay, we'll cut it short. Several of you asked me to talk about this project, and I didn't think it's worth this group to talk about, so I never really thought I'd be speaking here today. But thank you. Several friends of mine said, you gotta do this. So yesterday, I was panicking. I didn't have any of this stuff with me. And I had to contact my nurse and said, you know, there's a request for this thing. And she's a very fine supporter, a big help. And she panicked, and I panicked, and I finally got this done. Isn't it nice to have electronic media that could reach here just instantly? And I appreciate the fellows. My nurse supplied the stuff. The fellows here are amazingly helpful. So it's a teamwork. In the last few years, what did I learn? I do think we gotta keep learning. I'm 81 and a half years old, and I shouldn't be speaking here. And I said, I'm not gonna do that. But here I am, I'm speaking to you. So I'll give you a little background about this. After I did this, I had no idea what I'm getting into. It was a big job. Several friends of mine, one of them is an artist, and he does a lot of sculpture. He built a bronze Abraham Lincoln sculpture. He said, you gotta copyright this. And I said, what is copyright? I said, so that you do have the ownership of this design, you design. So I didn't know how to get a copyright. We found out it's a Library of Congress who does copyright. So we had copyright for this, which I didn't plan. And I didn't realize how much money it takes. You know, if you do something like that, you become poor. I mean, the project is a lot more than I thought. I started out with 10,000. I thought I can do it. It's my money from pocket. And I didn't realize that I don't have a deep pocket. So this thing cost somewhere around, my time is free, and several people, many companies gave free. Even with that, it ends up with somewhere around 40,000. So a lot of money is involved. I asked somebody who does commercial displays, said, how much will something like this cost? 80,000 or more. That's the case. So if you got a lot of money, build it. You'll probably quit. I thought about quitting after, about 2,000 squares. You know, those things have to be glued down. And anyway, here I am. I'm happy I did finish. And about my age, I started to think, what am I here for? There are a lot of small problems. My town has lack of knowledge problems. People with glaucoma family history don't come in. Never had one eye checked. So I decided I'll go out. They're not coming in. So I'm going out to them. And I thought I estimated if I can save 100 blind people with a white cane, probably I did my job. Our current number after 6 years is very encouraging. We have found 75. We do cover Champaign and other towns. So we're invited by FAA because pilots have to see. So I work with FAA and we gave a talk at O'Hare. And we found airline pilots. They're interesting people. They're very, very shy about having any medical check because if they find that something's defective, you got a problem. Maybe job's threatened. But we did find airline pilot up at O'Hare who has high pressure. If you got pressure 32, you got it. So I think we just saved one guy. Latanoprost is a wonderful drug, and that will probably reduce down to 17, 18. So that's one story. So if you got a lot of time and a lot of money, start it. And you probably, I'm not sure, I thought about halfway through, why don't I just quit? So that's a real story. And one thing that can help us is, you know, because of my age, I told you my age, there are a lot of things are foggy. My hearing is coming down, so somebody has to repeat the questions if you got any questions. So after I'm gone, this model will be traveling. We have a contract with a local museum for 3 years, next 3 years. But I'm thinking about building the next one that can travel, and ours will travel after 3 years. That was from last June. So if your hometown wants this, and it has to be a pretty important one like Smithsonian, if they want it, we'll send it. Some big museum in New York. You'll probably travel East Coast first to probably Chicago and then East Coast. And it will probably go to end up in San Francisco because that's where the Academy Museum is. So that's our plans, but you can help us out with the suggestions. We already have one, we know how to make the next one. It's just like a baby. You know, after one baby, they say, no more. Right now, I'm kind of debating whether I should have a next baby. If you got any questions, there will be a traveling display. Yeah, you have to repeat questions.
Anybody comments? I think it's a fantastic program and a wonderful way to utilize your multiple talents. It's maybe expensive for you, but it enriches everyone around. So, congratulations.
It's nice to be old because I don't have to hear anything.
He said, way to go.
Huh?
Great, thank you.
So, you know, if old people say, that means can't hear. That's a good thing. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. This is, again, my favorite group.